call to order at 6:35 on January 20th, 2021. I ask the recording secretary to call the roll for attendance of members of the board. Also present from,
Mr. Shelko,
here.
Mr. Pilato,
Here.
Mr. Iofreda,
Speaking.
Mr. Ferraro.
Here.
Also present from the building department, our zoning inspector, Chris Hall. I'm trying to see if he's here. Chris, is Mark with us? And Nino?
Nino,
I'm here.
Bob. Nino is not.
Okay.
Bob Rodick is not either.
All persons in the audience are required to sign in the register street or speak their name into the recorder. If you do not, if you have not done so, please do so now. If you wish to speak at this hearing, you will be required to be sworn in as in any court hearing. So we're going to ask everyone one at a time to, should we do it per case? No, we'll just do them all who are present. And if you would just introduce yourself for the recording.
My name is Jennifer Vasquez, and I'm at 1416 Bradford Drive in Macedonia.
Thank you.
My name's Ed Parker. I'm representing, I'm with Meld Architects, and I'm representing the signage on Golden Link Boulevard.
Thank you.
Doug, you were muted, just so you know.
Doug Nettle, 9180 Blueberry Lane.
And Joe Gelati, city engineer, for the Golden Link signage item.
Thank you. This hearing will be conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Ohio Sunshine Law. The notice of the hearing was duly published in a newspaper of general circulation in the city of Macedonia. The notice is available for review upon request at the building department. The rules of the board require an affirmative vote of 3 members in order to pass, regardless of the number of members present at the hearing. The hearing is conducted in an informal manner to review the evidence and to respond to questions. However, there is an outline of steps that will be taken in order. An appellate does not have to be present for the board to hear the case as publicized. Excuse me. Each case number and appeal request will be announced as its turn arises. The first case is number 635. And the appeal form is in order. Is there any correspondence from the notified adjacent property owners?
Yes. I received a phone call from 2 of the neighbors at the city, anonymous, I didn't get names, for both case 635 and 636, just stating that they do not have a problem with either of the corner fences. They're very close in proximity to each other. The Vasquez have dogs and so do the neighbors, so they are perfectly okay with a corner fence.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any unsolicited correspondence regarding case number 635?
No.
Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code Appeals will hear a request for a variance at 1416 Bradford Drive. The variance is to section 1171-16 D15. Privacy fences, open fences, and chain link fences are not permitted in front yards. The applicants are requesting a variance to have a fence in a front yard on a corner lot.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions of the city?
Yeah, just one question, Kent. We didn't go over the last meeting's minutes
Oh, yeah.
before we started, so I think we should do that first and get it done with, and then we'll start in our new meeting.
Okay. Let's pause for a minute and go. I appreciate that. I got sidetracked there for a minute. Did everybody get a chance to read over the minutes from the last meeting? I don't remember if it was November. Was there any comments or notations, corrections to the minutes?
I make a motion to accept them.
Okay. All right.
Motion.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Okay, we'll go back to case 635. Was there any questions for the city on the case 635?
I'm looking at the drawing, okay, and I don't see any footage of the variances off the property lines or off the road lines. All I see is a dotted line that says fence variance request.
Well, let's get to the point now. So the board will now allow a presentation from the appellate. Please state your case. This is for Jennifer and Eric Vasquez at case number 635.
Yes, so I sent the drawing, the sketch in actually from the fencing company as well. So there's two different pictures, but the dotted line that kind of talks about where the variance request is at is in line with the, I don't know, it was like so many, I think it was like 9 feet in from the ditch. So if you see that one, it only needs to come out 23 feet from the side of my house. If you look at the sketch from the fencing company, from the back corner of my house, it will come out 23 feet. And I believe the total on that side is, well, it's 111 minus 9, so 110. I don't know, I think it was like 9 feet in from the ditch.
Your house is actually, this is Chris Hall, your house is actually in 40 feet from the right of way. And then on the drawing, you have your fence coming out 13 feet for the double gate and then 23 feet for a total of 36 feet.
I think that total is 23.
Is the total 23? Because they had a double gate on there.
Well, yeah, when I did the calculation, the whole entire property is 111 across. So 23 feet on one side, 9 feet on the other side of the house.
Your house is set back 40 feet from the right-of-way line.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Well, so the fencing company wanted to put 338 feet of fencing. So if I add up all those numbers, 23 plus 98 plus 110 plus 98 plus 9. So my understanding was that it was 23 feet out from the side of my house. Is that accurate?
I believe there's a double gate that's 13 feet, according to the plan.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, you're talking on the Blueberry side? The road on this is Blueberry? Is that where the 23 feet is?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And then
But
the other side of the house is where the neighbor is. And how far is that from the property line?
9.
And the city ordinance is what?
City ordinance is, say that again?
City ordinance off the property line between neighbors for the fencing.
You can have it right on the property line on the side opposite Blueberry.
So you're asking 9 foot on that side. And on the back of the property, Jennifer?
Well, okay, so if the back of the property would be 110, so that I think the gate is in the gate on the back corner of my house where we want to come out 23 feet. From the corner of my house out would be 23 feet. It does not include a fence and an extra 23 feet. Does that make sense? So my total fencing that I'm paying for is 338 feet of fencing. So if I add up the total on that picture from the fencing company, it's just a total of 23 on that one front corner. It's not a gate and 23.
Well, actually, on the application that was sent in on looks like November 30th, 2020, from the fence company, on the Blueberry side, there's a 13-foot double gate, and then it goes out 23 feet.
Okay, so maybe that's what I'm not understanding. Maybe they're putting the gate in addition to. I just thought it was 23 feet out.
The
But
gate,
maybe that's my misinterpretation of this. I have the same contract that you have sitting in front of you.
either way, if it goes according to what they sent in initially, you're 4 feet from the right of way.
Okay.
So just for clarification, so the reason for this variance is because this is a corner lot and it's considered 2 front yards?
Yes.
Okay, not so much because the size of the fence or where it's going to sit on the property.
Correct.
Okay.
I
So
have a question.
my
Go ahead.
section, my backyard, the side of it that faces Blueberry is considered a front yard, although this fence will be entirely in my backyard. But because that section of my yard faces Blueberry, it's considered a front yard.
So this is a question for the city. Is it technically considered a front yard if the address of the house is not on that street?
Yeah.
I don't think I understand. Corner lots are considered to have 2 front yards. One is from the
Okay.
front setback of the house out to the street, and the other one is from the side of the house out to the side street. Those are considered 2 front yards.
Okay. I just wasn't sure if that was the technical definition. Thanks.
Chris, if you go down Bradford all the way to the east end, the 2 houses on the east end have fences in their backyards, okay? Do you know what the distance from the center of the road or off the property line those fences are on their side yard?
No, I don't.
Well, I think what makes it easy to kind of line up is that the fences at the end of Bradford both line up with the street sign. And when the measurements were taken for my fence, the fence would line up with the street sign as well.
The street signs doesn't really count. I mean, they're going by footage is what the city goes by, so. I
Right,
think
but
we should
wherever
check
those,
what those figures are, Chris.
Excuse me? What figures?
The distance from the center of the road or the property line to the fences on the far side of Bradford on the east end. There's 2 fences that line up perfectly.
yeah.
I wouldn't know those distances.
Do we know if there's any other corner lots that have a fence in the front yard in the city of Macedonia?
Yes.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah. Only difference, Jeff, is they're all different. So that's why you have to take them at one at a time. Some have ditches, some have sidewalks. So it's a whole different ballgame, each one. Okay, the ones on, you're asking off of the footage off of Blueberry, you said what, it's 4 foot off the property line, Chris?
It's 4 feet from the right of way.
So
And Chris, is your understanding that it's 9 feet in from the ditch into the fence would be 9 feet, correct?
Yes, approximately 9 feet. Yes.
Are you there? Are you there, Chris?
Yes, approximately 9 feet from the ditch.
From the ditch.
Which is the exact, that's where the fence is on the east side of that, the other end of Bradford. Their fences sit at the same exact measurement that I want mine put at.
So there's a precedent.
Is anybody else getting anything broke up?
Nope.
You talking about in the broadcast?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm slightly, but
Okay.
So, yeah, do we know, is there anything unique about the property that's different from the one that is, that we're talking about with the 9 feet from the ditch?
The ones on the far east are more than 9 foot from the ditch to the fence, but I don't think there's any difference. The houses lay out the same in the area.
Rick, I am free to hear. I have a question. I heard something that said we have a precedent. I have no idea who said it, but I think it was that you, Chris?
That was me,
So
Matt.
we're sitting here talking about something that we already have a precedent for. So what's our problem?
Yeah, that was my question.
If we have a precedent?
Yep. And my question was there anything
Up
else
on my end.
unique about the property that would make it different from that other precedent? And the answer I got was no. So
Chris, okay, what is the side, the 23 foot? Is it 23 foot plus the 13-foot fence? Is that what we're talking about? And then 9 feet on the other side of the house?
The 9 feet doesn't have no variance, but the side on Blueberry, it's going to cross the patio with a double gate, 13 feet, and then go 23 feet past where I think it's asphalt, an additional 23 feet from the asphalt is going to place it 4 feet from the right of way, or approximately, as Mrs. Vasquez says, 9 feet from the ditch.
Okay. So as long as it's not, the fence is not in the ditch, then what's the difference?
I mean, it's the challenge of a corner lot is what it is.
Right.
Because you can go to the property line on other lots, and so,
There's Kit. Hey,
hey,
can you hear me now?
yes,
Hey, you can't see me. Something's wrong with my camera, I guess.
well, that's okay, that's, we can hear
me,
you
right?
until you participate, so we'll take a roll call before. Does anybody else have any other questions for the appellate for the case number 635?
nope.
No.
If there's no further questions, the chair,
I have one.
go ahead, Sue.
I have a question. Yeah, this is the one with all the bushes, correct? The property with all the big, tall bushes.
I believe that would be 9180, and that will be case 636.
Yeah,
With
that's
all
the
the-
next one, I think.
Am I on the wrong, which one are we on right now?
The first one, 635,
Wrong one.
or 1416 Bradford
Okay.
Drive.
Oh, okay, that's the one with the, okay. Yeah, all right.
This is
No, I don't
Sam
have any
Palato.
questions on that one.
I
Okay.
make a motion to accept the variance on case 635.
Second,
Who seconded?
Matt.
Will,
Now I have a question. What is the motion? How many feet is the fence gonna be from the street and all that? You guys have measurements? Or are you just gonna let them put it wherever they want?
we had discussed that earlier, Sue, and, I guess
Can
we
you
can go
please
over
let me
that.
know what,
There
I
was
don't
a-
know how to vote.
On Blueberry Lane, it's 9 feet from the center of the ditch, okay, 9 feet on the neighbor's property and 10 feet in the back of the property. Am I correct?
And
Chris?
how did you guys arrive at those numbers?
So we've been here for
Because it
30
doesn't
minutes.
show it at all.
going over. Okay,
We worked on the drawing that was provided and kind of went through the property and what was proposed to the city from the plan from the fence company. And the variance
You
basically,
are proposing,
so the discussion also included the fact that the variance is for the fact that this is a corner lot with two front properties, with two front yards, and basically the variance request is to have the fence on the side. It wasn't so much with the footage of the fence away from the street. Because if you
how far is it?
if you have a fence in your backyard, you can go to the property line.
Well, is it gonna go just on the other side of the patio? On the side, the part where they poured the patio, is that where you're proposing it? Or are you proposing it all the way out to the ditch?
Well, right now, the request is that there is a 13-foot gate over top of the patio. And then there will be a 23-foot section of fence that will be installed 9 foot in from the ditch.
thank you, Jennifer. We went over this. Ken, I made a motion to accept
Okay,
case 635. Okay.
all right. And there was a second, I believe.
And there was
Second was
second, that's
Matt.
correct.
Matt, okay. Will the recording secretary please call the roll vote for the motion to accept case, approve case 635 variance?
Mr. Shalko,
Yes.
Mr. Pilato,
Yes.
Mr. Iofreda,
Yes,
Mr. Ferraro,
Yes.
Ms. Metzel,
No.
Thank you. The motion is passed. Thank you very much. We'll now speak on case number 636. Will the zoning inspector now please state the city's position for case number 636?
Okay, Board of Zoning and Building Code of Appeals will hear a request for a variance at 9180 Blueberry Lane. The variance is also to section 117116 D15. Privacy fences, open fences, and chain link fences are not permitted in front yards. The applicant is requesting a variance to have a fence in a front yard on a corner lot.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions of the city? If not, the board will now allow the presentation from the appellate.
Thank you for everybody considering this, and just I submitted quite a bit here to try to make sure all the bases were covered. 25 feet in from the side, and then an additional 6 foot to the fence. And there's approximately 18 foot arborvitaes on that side. The ditch has been covered all throughout the whole property. And just would like this to be considered for the variance.
Do we have
May I
questions
ask a
from the
question?
board?
Is there a reason why you want this fence, Mr. Reynolds?
Is there a reason why I want this?
Mhm.
Was that the question?
Yes.
Well, just to take full advantage of the property. The property, I've talked to both neighbors on each side, and they said that neither one of them had an issue with it. And if you look at, I submitted my 9 prints and drawings and letters. If you would just look at that aerial, and just consider that is the reason why I'm asking for this variance.
We appreciate that aerial too. I think it's a good shot and a nice drawing on how you want it. The properties behind you, are there houses there also, correct? This is just their backyard.
There is one directly behind,
Mhm.
and it's off of Shepherd, so it's favored more towards Shepherd.
Okay.
Not within the development.
So you mentioned that the ditch on Bruce is filled in. Is that correct?
The whole property, the ditches have all been filled in.
And it doesn't look like there's a sidewalk on Bruce, right?
Correct.
Okay. So do you know of, and maybe you don't know the answer to this, but do you know of any other properties with a corner lot with no ditch and no sidewalk that have a fence?
That's a bit of an effort.
I know it's specific, but I'm trying to pinpoint a precedent so we could.
Right. Well, this one might be to the next level.
Yep. Gotcha.
Nobody's quite gone that far, I believe, that I'm aware of. Financially, and the effort to try to enhance the appearance of the lot. So that I really can't tell you that another ditch has been filled in that area.
There are ditches filled in the city. I mean, if you go around, and there are some on the corner lots. If I don't know for a fact that they have fencing, okay, but we do have some, and we also have some that the ditches are filled in just in their front yards. Okay, so this is kind of unusual, but your trees or your bushes cover most of the fence or half of the fence on Bruce on that side of the house. You know, with the plans that you have here.
Correct.
And from Bruce around that bend, it's probably, obviously the fence isn't there yet, so you can't see it, but I'm assuming it's fairly difficult to see even with that strip past the bushes, correct? Because it's so much farther offset with the bend of the road.
Yeah. And then to be black, it kind of just all blends in.
Yep.
Do we have any other further questions for the appellate?
Nope.
Okay, if not, the chair would entertain a motion, sorry for the barking dog, from any of the board members.
I make a motion to pass, miss it here, case 636.
Second.
Dick Iafrida, I second the motion.
Will the recording secretary please call roll call vote, please?
Ms. Mutzel,
No.
Mr. Shelko,
Yes.
Mr. Pilato, Mr. Pilato.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, okay. Mr. Iofreda
Yes.
and Mr.
Yes.
Ferraro.
Yes.
You have your 3 votes to make it.
Yes, thank you. The motion has passed for case number 636. The board will now will proceed to cases 637 and 638. We'll hear them separately. We'll discuss them separately, but will the cities please state their position on case number 637?
The Board of Zoning and Building Code of Appeals will hear a request for a variance at Golden Link Boulevard and State Route 8. The variance is to section G1 in the criteria for the development of the outlots. Freestanding signs are to be ground signs with a maximum height of 10 feet and a maximum area of 45 square feet on any one face. The applicant is requesting a height variance of 8 feet.
And Mr. Chairman, this is Mark Cadetti. If you wouldn't mind if I could add some additional context for the board from the city's perspective.
Please do.
Sure. Appreciate that. So this application, the city's actually the applicant for the variances here. This is the city's project, so to speak, and this is connected to a statutory special assessment procedure that the city's spearheading in conjunction with Northfield Center Township. The primary part of that project, that special assessment project, was to construct the right-in, right-out access road from the crossings to State Route 8, which, as the board probably knows, that part of the construction has been completed. The second aspect of that special assessment project is the construction of a monument sign that's before you tonight. As part of the special assessment project, the property owners in the crossings petitioned the city of Macedonia to make these improvements. That included the signage, and I believe the sign location was specifically included on the documents in the special assessment ordinances dating back to the summer of 2019 approximately. Now, that being said, this whole project has been in the works for quite a number of years, going back to 2013. I've been involved in it, so it's been a long time coming, obviously. Now, as part of the construction of the sign, the city went out and hired Mr. Ed Parker of Meld Architects. So he is the city's contractor for the project, who submitted the application for the board. If there's any questions on the special assessment process or anything additional, obviously I'm available to speak to that. Mr. Parker will speak to the specifics tonight as far as the application goes.
Sure. So I'm Ed Parker with Meld Architects. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. That way everyone kind of...
I would like to ask a question first, though.
Sure.
So this is back to the city. So I'm trying to read through some of this. Has this gone through the development group, or are we the first ones to review and either approve or disapprove this, or has this already been gone through the whatever? I know it's a special zoning area. Have they reviewed this?
Are you talking about the shed?
Yes.
This is already, so the signage is actually within the city of Macedonia. Because of the impact with the JED, and I believe a portion of the access road goes into the JED, that's the reason that this is a joint special assessment project with Northfield Center Township. As far as other boards reviewing the matter, this has already gone to Planning Commission, and they've given approval conditional upon the BZA's review and approval of the project.
Okay, so we're the only ones that are going to approve or disapprove this. There's no other board, the JED or I forget what it's called, that they don't have any say if this goes or not?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for waiting for that. I just wanted to get the clarification from the city. Go ahead and please bring your case.
Yep, no problem. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen real quick. And does everybody see this right now?
Yes.
Okay. So starting off with the existing sign that's right on Aurora Road 82, that set kind of the precedent of the design of the sign. It is a lot larger than what we're proposing at the new inlet outlet. That's going to be located on State Route 8. That's shown at the bottom right here. I'm sorry, was I getting feedback or was there a question? Okay, sorry, I'll keep going. So basically, we're proposing this, and I believe, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're wanting to propose this more as a working session right now because we have a couple options and want to get input from the Board of Zoning Appeals. And then also there's communication that may need to be made between all the tenants if we are to move the location from the previous agreed upon, or not agreed upon, but previously presented location, let's put it.
Right, yeah, and if you don't mind me probably stepping on your toes a little bit here, I think the board...
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm falling in my duties here. I'm supposed to ask if there was correspondence about the properties before we proceeded here, and I do recall that there was something that was presented not too long ago. Sorry.
No, and that's good timing, Mr. Chairman, because that's exactly what I was going to speak to. So you can go ahead. Thank you.
All right. So was there any correspondence from the notified adjacent property owners?
Yes, there was a letter sent over from the owner of Culver's.
Okay. That was the one that you emailed to us.
Yes.
So.
Could you read that, Rachel?
Yep.
Well,
Thank you.
If you guys don't mind, if I might be able to comment on that first, and that might change your opinion as to Ms. Gambatti's reading it or not.
Is this Mark?
This is Mark, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you mind, Mr. Chairman, if I jump in real quick?
No, you're from the city, so it makes sense.
Okay, I
it's in proper order, I believe.
I appreciate that. So the board, I believe, is all aware of the letter from the property owners at Culver's, Mr. Steve Skomsky. We've obviously worked pretty closely with Mr. Skomsky with his development that's already been completed. And he had some issues or some potential issues that he was pointing out to the BZA. After speaking with the mayor had asked that we follow up with Mr. Parker, who's presenting before you tonight. As a result of the input from Mr. Skomsky, some revisions were made to these schematics that are currently up on the screen. And what you'll see is a second position for the signage. I had actually had the opportunity to forward this to Mr. Skomsky. He took a look, and from his perspective, that cured any issue that he had in the communication that he sent to the board. And he gave me permission to relay that to you tonight. Although he's not here, he did say that it alleviated any of the concerns that he had, the second position that Mr. Parker is going to go over with you shortly.
Do you have that, Mark? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but do you have that in any email or any form other than you're just presenting on his behalf?
Well, and I'm not really presenting on his behalf. I'm just relaying that to you. And what I'm going to get into next is, I think, going to address that concern. Because the city has had the sign location in this position 1 that you'll see before you since approximately the summer of 2019, and that was given to all the property owners. What the city would recommend, and what I would recommend for the board tonight, is to treat this more as a work session for this application. take in the information and basically delay any vote until at least February. That would give the city an opportunity to distribute this proposal to the other property owners within the JED who were previously made aware of the original sign location and allow them to comment on it as well. And that way the board could have some time to process it and ask any questions to the city between now and your next meeting.
Thank you. Actually, that was quite informative. So, Mr. Parker,
Yeah, sorry about that. To step on your.
No, it's fine. There's a lot to kind of put down as the background. So the image that we're looking at right now has the two options. Everything on the left is option 1, option 2, and option 1 is basically the original location. Everything on the right is option 2 and is more taking in the feedback of Culver's and making a proposal that maybe aligns more with the building setbacks that are to the adjacent properties. So, basically, if we zoom in here, and I'm sorry, it might be a little bit pixelated, but the option 1 had the sign basically located right at the main entry on the turn in from Route 8. And then if you see all these lines, and Joe might want to explain a little bit more about exactly what they are, but all these dash lines that are between the two blue lines are basically unbuildable area because of underground infrastructures. So as we took a look at that, we started coming up with, well, if we are to move this sign, what would be our precedent? How would we decide exactly? Is it 100 feet, 50 feet? And right off the bat, we know that we can't build into these dashed lines. So then we started looking at what's the setback that Culver's has. And then this is just a future proposed building that's at the top. But we just took the block of Culver's if it was to be, a similar building. But it did have a matching setback variance, if I'm correct. So this blue line that is hitting Culver's front is kind of the accepted setback line for buildings on State Route 8. And that's not just a blanket to every building. I understand that each property got a variance. The Culver's is existing, and the one above it, that's where they got approved towards. So that's where we thought it would make sense to put this sign if we were to set it back to what the building setback is, since it is a little bit of a building scale. It's an 18-foot tall sign. It is not as tall as the sign that's at the entry on 82. That sign is about 28 to 30 feet tall. So the first variance that we're talking about right now is just the location, correct? Or is it both location and size?
I believe it's just the size, isn't it, Ken?
Yeah, I think it's just the size.
Okay,
Right.
so the difficulty, I guess, that we have to present for the size is that the sign zoning code is definitely taking into consideration that it's a single business. And so if we were to try to put the amount of information on every single business on here on that smaller size, we wouldn't end up with legible lettering and logos. The other reason for raising it for the height is because it is a very vehicular friendly entrance. It's really not very pedestrian friendly. And especially if we move it back, there is a chance that you would have cars that could be parked in front of it. So that's the main reason for kind of getting it off of the ground and giving it a base before you even see the sign. One thing to note is that this Culver sign here does stick out of the ground pretty high, just for reference. I'm not sure if it was actually, I don't think it needed a variance, but if you're driving by it for scale, I think it's about 9 to 10 feet to the top of it. So as far as the size, the area is not enough to hold all the properties that would go on it. And I'm sorry, let me see if I should have a elevation view of it. I'm sorry, I don't have a real good elevation. This is about the best elevation view I can show you. But you can see there's about 9 locations on there, and then there's 2 empties right now. But there's a lot of information to get on there if we were to try to get it onto the required signage area. And then once again, I already touched base on the height.
Thank you. So I have a couple more questions for the city. So the current sign that's on Route 82, the Golden Link, well, this says Golden Link Boulevard, but I believe that sign, is that one that meets our code?
Oh,
No, it does not. And I believe we tried to look back at the records for that, and we didn't find any record of a variance being obtained. And my guess is at the time, the city may have been involved with that construction. And I'm guessing a legal opinion was given that is often given out for city projects, that the city doesn't have to comply with its own code, which I know sounds a little bit nonsensical, but when it's the jurisdiction engaging in the project, sometimes the jurisdiction just goes ahead and does the construction. Now, I don't know that for sure. That's my best educated guess without having all the historical documents necessarily intact.
So the first thing that I would like to bring up is when the Commons, Macedonia Commons was transferred properties, proper owners, they came to us and asked for a variance for a sign that matched basically the Macedonia Commons sign on 82. They wanted to put it on Route 8, and we denied that. We just didn't feel that there was a reason for that to be big enough. And we had the same situation where no one seemed to know how they got the size for the Macedonia Commons on 82. So what makes this different than the request we had for the Macedonia Commons? In my mind.
I mean, I can give you my thoughts on that. Ed can probably speak a little, Mr. Parker can speak probably a little more specifically to it, but I mean, here you're going off of a highway with no sidewalks around, no pedestrian traffic. Obviously, that's a little bit different than the common signage, which is...
The request for the common signage was the same road, just down at the, across from the entrance to 271. So it's same divided highway.
I guess I don't know that sign.
It didn't get approved, is my point.
But was it? I guess I don't know anything about that job, so I can't. I mean,
I'm not asking. I'm not trying to put you on the spot there. It's just I'm immediately in a position that I'm uncomfortable with, because we just was down this road. What, Sue? Maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
So my only question to that is it once again, is it the same thing where it's listing multiple tenants? Is that what you're, okay.
And the difference at that time, I'm assuming, is that there was not a right in, right out.
It was right along the road there where you go by McDonald's.
Right.
On the side of McDonald's or on the property across the street?
Property across the street.
Yeah, and I think it's juxtapositioned with Macedonian Commons Boulevard, serving both of those roadways, if I'm not mistaken.
So I'm just letting you know up front that I have a bit of a challenge with the size right away, because we've already denied this for a different developer in a different area as Macedonia that involves the same street. Now we can do some research between if you'd like to feel what the difference is, but I am very appreciative of the work that's done to try and meet the other property owner, Culver's, and move the sign back and work with the city and all that other stuff. But I don't have all the information from that request. I'm just bringing it forward as it's one that we obviously had dealt with not too long ago.
Well, there was a few of us not on the board when that was brought up, so I can't really say anything, but it doesn't seem like it's real similar, okay, with both properties. This is a little bit different, and I mean, you know, if you're going to compare apples to apples and oranges, then I guess we'll have to. But as far as this signage, the one on Macedonia Commons Boulevard is not in the center of the road for an entrance and exit, as this original one here is on 82. And the one they're talking about to put on the side road, the entrance in and out, if we go with option 1 or option 2, which would be even set back further, I mean, you're not even close to Route 8.
Understood. I want to bring the argument forward so that it's on record. It was also they wanted to make it the same size as the one on 82, which was it was incredible what they were requesting. But
And this one here is much smaller. It's
Right.
10, 12 foot smaller. So, I mean, you know, I don't think there's any comparison myself personally.
Yeah.
Do we know, is the sign on 82, is that technically in the city of Macedonia, or is that in Northfield?
Which sign?
The one on 82, the one right there in the red box.
Mr. Chairman, Joe Gelati, city engineer here.
Yes.
The existing sign on the 82 entrance is
original
technically Northfield Center Township, and it's also located in the JED.
so would we have had to make a movement on it, or would it have been able to take care of other means?
If that was wholly within the township most likely would have done the approval for the signage. Since within the JED, the city's building code is generally met with the exception of zoning and signage in certain circumstances.
Okay. So
Mark, I used to be on the JED board, and I don't remember exactly who gave the variance or if there was a variance. Okay, but I know that it was all entailed with the JED and the cities.
Mr. Plata, I think you're cutting out pretty good there. But
you might have to, can you paraphrase that and say it one more time, sir? Mr. Plato?
It might help if
You're
you turn
talking
the
the-
video off too. It'll give you more.
Bandwidth?
Yep.
Any better? Is that better? I said years ago I was on the JED board, okay? I just don't who took care of the signage, okay? And who approved it and who had it. But I know both of the cities were involved with it.
yeah, I think we were both involved, and like I said, I think we tried to go back and determine that, but we couldn't track down the specific approval for it at this point in time anyways.
I have a question. This is Sue. When you go back to all the owners of the businesses, are you just addressing the movement of the sign? Or are you also going to see comments on the size? Or are they already in agreement that they want the large sign?
So the general size and location of the sign was already provided to the respective property owners, and there weren't any objections or really comments other than, they wanted to make sure that they had their spot on the sign. Obviously, that was part of the discussion throughout the special assessment process. So we just want to make sure if there's any modifications that we give them notice and give them an opportunity to comment on it. So I guess a different way of saying that is I would assume the expectation of those property owners is that the signage is going to appear as the application was submitted to the BZA.
So you're just seeking their approval on moving the location?
So we'll give them the new or the potential new position and schematic, and they can comment on any element of that schematic. We're not going to specifically request as to location or size. we'll let them know this is a proposed move-in location. And if you have any comments as to the proposal, please let us know within, 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks or so before the next meeting.
Okay, well, I have one more concern to ask of the building officials. I know that we try to not be a city of large signage. In other words, we don't want to set a precedent where we can have big signs for everybody. The bigger, the better. So do you feel that this sign is reasonable? And again, I'm asking the building officials, is this a reasonable size sign for the location off the freeway? Or do you think it might be a little bit excessive?
This is Bob Rodick. I'm the acting building official with the city at this point in time. I don't know that I'll actually levy an opinion on that. I've not dealt with a sign that has been constructed by a municipal government as a part of a jet arrangement or an agreement between other people. Shopping plazas routinely have larger signs with multiple advertisements upon them. But I don't know that I could give you a reasonable thought on that, because every community is different in the way that they approach it, and they take into consideration things that would be like the traffic patterns and the types of roads that they would be existing upon, Sue.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a feel for the.
Actually,
personally, this is Sam Pilato. Personally, I guess let me turn this off, maybe make it better. I think I'd rather see one little bigger sign than have variances for 12 or 13 signs to go up in the shopping center. So if we had one sign that condensed everybody there, all attendants, which would make it easier, okay? And I don't really think this sign's that huge. I mean, you couldn't put a 10-foot sign up there to cover everything like they're talking about. And 18-foot doesn't seem very tall. And in my opinion, okay, I personally like option 2 location versus option 1 location. This way, it's actually sitting back from the freeway and any distraction at all. But it should be able to be seen in option 2 where it's set back.
So I have a question. This might be a little bit subjective, but option 2, it's hard to tell from the perspective of where the road is, but is option 2 legible or to a reasonable driver going by? Is it legible?
I mean, I guess we would have to show exactly. I guess the best way to put this is we were trying to hold about 6 inches to 8 inches for the letters. So each of those panels, like if you look at the height of each of the panels, each panel's 1 foot tall. So like the L of the Lowe's would be about 10 inches tall. And that is definitely something that has to be studied from a distance. So the further we put it away,
right,
the more you're gonna want to increase it at a higher speed also. But
that was my point, yeah.
If it's more of a gateway, and so that's what sometimes these actually work as gateways, where you're driving and you see the sign, you see all the businesses, but you don't read it. You just know that you're going to Golden Lake. So it's kind of, you want to be able to read it as you're exiting, but I don't think that you're going to necessarily be able to read it before you're exiting, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think I look at the Culver sign, and if you read that, you passed it all. So that,
I'm sorry. I wanted to show you, because when I went out there, if you go to Target I'll have to bring it for the next meeting to kind of show how we got that height. But the CVS pharmacy that's on the building of Target, the CVS pharmacy is about 8 inches tall, and it's pretty legible from far away. So
Got it.
that's where these are a little bit difficult, because it's like we're trying to show you a lot about setbacks, and then, you know, because of pixels, it might just be hard to read.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yep. So I think I can find a diagram that would be pretty easy to show for the next meeting, just showing, or if I don't find a diagram, I'll take some pictures of some, other buildings and just give reference of sizes of similar signs. I mean, the one that's on 82, I would say is out of scale, too big. You can read that from 271. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
Ed, what's the difference of footage between option 1 and option 2?
They're the same sign. They're the same sign, just different location.
Understand. I'm asking what the difference in footage is between the two signs.
60 feet to the west.
60
feet to the west, yep.
Do you need a variance for that one, for the second location?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm guessing it's going to be far enough back, but I don't know. Joe G, do you know the answer to that?
It would certainly be far enough back from State Route 8, but would still be located within the right-of-way of the new Golden Link access road.
So this RW, right? So it would still be in this.
Correct. It would still be within that right-of-way. So I believe the answer to the question is yes. The second variance request tonight would still be needed.
Thank you. Well, I don't know if there was any other questions that anybody had, or if anybody wanted to make a motion or anything else at this point. Any more questions?
Didn't one of the officials say we had to wait until February to have another meeting to actually vote on this?
No, it was kind of suggested.
That wrong?
That would be the city's request, and that would allow us time to give notice to the other property owners of the proposed change. And like I said, get some comments back from them if they have any.
Personally, I think we should wait then in case someone does have some concerns about.
So I think
about this.
I think the one thing is about it that we would like to at least leave the meeting with is, since it is the city's project and we're not asking for a vote right now, it's almost like if there's comments that are going to affect the support of it, then we should hear those now so we could address them before the next meeting.
Well, we're going to be voting, or the comments is going to be on what, case 637, the variance on the height. Am I correct?
That's where I would suggest we start, because they should be considered separate cases.
Right. Okay. So my there's no concerns on it. I don't have a problem. Okay, with the variance going from 10 feet to 18 feet. Okay, on the signage. All right. That's my proposal.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the board is going to benefit from waiting another month if there's no other changes.
Now,
I think it's ridiculous.
Would the vote be based on option 1 or option 2 or both options?
So we have two cases here. One case, 637 is for the height, only the height. You're only saying whether you're going to allow them to make a bigger sign. Case 638 is where it's going to be. So they're different issues. And they'll be voted on separately.
Right. I meant the voting for case 1 and 2 is based on option 1 or option 2.
Oh, no, wait. This is saying, I'm sorry, I'm reading this wrong. So 637 and 638 must be the square footage and the height. And then 639 is in the right away. It was right away. So I apologize for misspeaking there. So there's three variances: one for the height, one for the square footage, and one for being in the right of way. So and keep in mind, I think we've had these discussions before. If we pass a variance for this, it's my understanding that they still have to work through the building committee and work it out with the city how it's going to actually be done and everything. So we're not saying how it's going to be done. So there's still some things they have to work out. So
well, again, so this is the city that's actually constructing it. I mean, it's going to be a publicly bid project, but what's being proposed is technically being proposed by the city. So yeah, the city will work with its own building department to keep everybody in the loop, so to speak. But once this is approved, we'll move forward with competitive bidding. If this is approved, we'll move forward with competitive bidding, and then the sign will be constructed. And then once that's complete, then the statutory special assessment process can be wrapped up as well.
I just don't know what information we're going to gain in a month other than you going to the other tenants and seeing if they agree with it, because what we as a board aren't worried if the tenants like it or not, or if you're going to get along with. I'm sorry to be that blunt, but we're just here to decide if the city's going to allow this size of sign, this square footage of a sign in this location. I mean, I understand that, but maybe it came to the board too early then.
So the city's trying to be responsive to the comments that the board got through the statutory notice. So because this is changing the schematics that were provided previously to the property owners, which was part of the contemplated statutory process, that's why the city's recommending that the property owners be given some time to review this and provide comment back. And this is the city's application, so the input received from the property owners could potentially change the city's proposal.
Mark, we understand that. Okay, I guess I'm hoping we approve the variance and location of the sign, and you go back to the businesses, or the city goes back to the businesses. What's the difference? What kind of comment they have? I mean, what's that going to do with our approval or disapproval?
Well, for instance, if every other property owner comes back and says we don't agree with the second location, the sign, you can't read our lettering from State Route 8 going 55 miles an hour, and that becomes an issue, well, that maybe the city's going to adjust its application and location of the signage, and that, I guess, theoretically could impact height and all that stuff as well.
Right, because if I just, not speaking as a member of the board, but speaking just from the perspective of a business owner, I would say that, okay, the original location of the sign was this square footage, this height in this location. If you move it back 60 feet, then theoretically, from a perspective point of view, you would want to increase the height of it, right, to account for the setback. As a bit, no, I'm not saying as a board member. I'm saying as a business owner, that could be what they request, right? As an example.
Correct.
The other thing also, at that location, you shouldn't be doing 55 miles an hour coming up to the corner, to the stoplight. Am I right?
I was trying to be realistic.
Stoplight.
That's what I'm saying. So, I mean, you should be able to read this sign. If you're doing 55 miles an hour, I think maybe we should put some police officers up there.
The stoplight is a lot farther down, right? I mean, towards where McDonald's is, right?
No, the other stoplight.
At 82 and 8?
Going up is, yeah, Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, well, if that stoplight was green, somebody...
That is.
Hey, guys, let's talk about something here. The sign, this is Dick Iafrida, and we're talking about 8 feet. Okay, the sign, from what I heard, and I listened, the sign on 82 is 28 feet high. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now we want to make this sign, we want to go from 10 feet to 18 feet. And we're still going to be 10 feet less than somebody said, that sign is too gaudy, big, and out of place. And since we're moving it back approximately 35 feet, you're going to need that extra space to see it. If we raise it 10 feet to go to 18 feet and leave the signage as is, we're just going to bring it higher so it becomes more visible. Here we go. We're at the races. We're beating that dead horse.
So I think the one thing is, and also just focusing on what it takes to get the right size lettering. So I don't think that it necessarily makes sense to just raise the sign up. It's
Okay,
more or less, let's just make sure that we have, with moving it 60 feet, let me just make sure that we have the right size letters. And if the letters need to get bigger, it might not actually necessarily mean the sign has to get a lot
But
taller.
you have the 10 feet to do it.
Correct.
So I make a motion, we accept, number one, the 10 feet variance.
Okay, so I'm going to jump in there and say there's been a motion to accept case number 637 for the maximum height of a 10-foot, let's see, how does this read?
From the height of 10 feet to 18 feet.
Okay. So that's case number 637. Do we have a second?
I second it.
That was Mr. Pilato.
Yes.
Will the recording secretary please call the roll vote for case number 637? It's for approval of the height variance.
Mr. Shalko,
Yes.
Ms. Metzel,
Yes.
Mr. Pilato,
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro,
Yes.
Mr. Iofreda.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion is passed. Do we have a motion for case number 638, which is the square footage of the sign?
1 second. I have a question for Ed.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is Sam Pilato. Okay, if on 638 for the 45 square foot, okay, and you were talking about difference in letter size. So if the sign is that's 45 square foot, 18 foot tall, what are you going to do there? Are you going to try to change the letter size? Or are they going to be what we see right here?
I mean, that could change. I mean, right now we're at, I think it was 250 square feet. I'm sorry, we're at about 80 to 90 square feet right now. So, I guess if we needed to increase it, I would anticipate that we would still be in the 100 to 120 square foot range. I'm not sure if this is something that should be voted on or if you wanted to increase it to a maximum that sounded reasonable. If it was to get needed, the letters.
So you're breaking up. Does that mean the size is?
So the size of the sign per the zoning code, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, has to do with the actual signage area. So it's just the white box.
Correct, and that was 70 square feet.
Okay, so you were breaking up. So I guess what I'm asking is if you go from 8-inch letters to 10-inch letters, are you going to make the sign bigger and the brick and everything, or is just the white box going to be bigger?
It's all a matter of how the relationships between. I mean, it's hard for me to answer that without saying yes. It will definitely get bigger, but I don't know exactly how much and what ends up happening. Because, for example, maybe it gets bigger in the height, and maybe it shrinks a little bit in width. But I don't think that it would be more than, I guess, 20 square feet.
So look, just for clarification, so it's my understanding that what we're voting on is the area there that you can have, that white space. What you do with it is up to you, is up to the sign people. So the variance requested that came in is for an area variance of 25 square feet. So we're giving them the kind of the palette. How will they work with the sign and the lettering is not actually before us at this point. Is that correct?
Yes. Can I request that this isn't voted on necessarily yet? And the only reason why is because if we have to come back for the location anyway, then we would be able to address if that changed at all.
Well, okay. Do we foresee the case 637 variance potentially being changed based on location too?
The height of the actual sign? I don't think so. I think that we could work in with some of the detailing, how much, like if we added 10 inches, if we went to 10 inches, then we're basically adding about a foot. I can kind of work that 6 inches above, 6 inches below, maybe drop the cast stone here a little bit. I think that we can kind of work with that 637 variance.
Okay, thank you.
But to the 638, I'm not sure that I can answer that yet without necessarily seeing if we need to increase the sign sizes. Lettering sizes.
Right, so if that's the case, then let's make a motion to table 638 until next meeting.
So there's a motion. Go ahead.
I second that.
Recording secretary, do we need to? We'll just take a vote and a vote for tabling case number 638.
Can I ask one question first?
Certainly, please go ahead.
So if this 638 were to be voted on and approved today, theoretically, could you come back for another variance that goes above and beyond that?
That's what they'd have to do.
The city would have to, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if that alleviated any timing or
it could. You guys could technically vote to amend it at the city's request. You could handle it that way if need be, but I think what Mr. Parker is saying obviously is it's a little premature because we're not sure exactly what that might be and the scope of it. So
it might just be cleaner to hold the vote basically until we completely know.
That's why I propose to table it right now, because why come back for another variance? It's just a waste of time. So let's do it all at one time and get it done with.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we had a Can we have the roll call vote, please?
Yep. Mr. Shalko?
Yes.
Ms. Metzel?
Yes.
Mr. Pilato?
Yes.
Mr. Iofreda?
Yes.
Mr. Ferraro?
Yes.
Okay, so as the chairman, I'm going to propose that we do the same for case 639. Unless there's another discussion, because we're talking about, when we say the right of way, we're talking about anywhere along that right of way to the inbound driveway, correct?
yes, sir.
So if we're interested in finding out where it's going to be proposed to actually be put, it would be best to also delay this vote so that we can answer that and not say, okay, we're going to put you in a certain spot right now. It might be the time to do that. I don't know if there are other thoughts along that line.
I think we should talk about it and see what our thoughts are,
Table
the board, and let them bring it back, okay, to whoever they have to, whether it's a tenants or not, that we like option one, we like option two, whatever, and go from there.
So can my question is, regardless of where you end up putting it, I assume you would not be putting it closer than what the variance is requesting.
No.
Right.
So right now, the bottom blue line is the edge of right of way.
Right.
The next line is the original proposed location. and then would not get any closer than the original proposed location.
Right. So I guess my point is voting on it now, there's really no risk that you would ask for a variance above and beyond what's already being asked for. Is that accurate?
Well, actually, Joe, I think Joe, you and I guess it would stay in the same location off of Golden Link, correct?
Yeah, here, I think here's the answer to the question. No, our request does not change because the variance request is to actually place the sign within the right-of-way of Golden Link Boulevard. So whether we wind up choosing option 1 or option 2, both of those options are located within the right-of-way of Golden Link Boulevard. So the city's request to the BZA remains the same.
So I think the only potential modification, it's an unlikely event, would be the sign goes to a position outside of the right of way. If one of the property owners, we got some feedback and it was decided the location was best outside of the right of way. One of the property owners wanted to provide their property and make it available to do so, then I guess the application would then be withdrawn. I think that would be the only potential change.
Okay, thanks.
So, but I think one of the we often have the discussion, and I don't mean to beat this any more than we have to, but normally when we have the discussion, we decide we like position 2, so we would say we grant the variance as long as it meets with the position 2. And I'm just thinking maybe we don't want to we can do it or not do it. But my thought was if we delayed it or postponed it, then we're giving them the ability to move it. But I will open the floor for any motions.
This is Sam Pilata. Personally, myself, I like option 2.
And I agree with you, Sam. It's just I'm saying that if we vote on it, say that we're voting on it and it's approved as long as they go in position 2, then they're stuck there unless they get another.
I'm not saying vote on it, Kent. All I'm saying is have the board give their position on it, okay? Option 1 or 2, and let them take it back if they need to. We don't have to vote, or we could table it tonight. I don't have a problem with that, okay? I'm just telling you my opinion.
I see.
Option 2 is the one to go with.
Okay, understood.
Then you don't have to hear anything from anybody. Nobody should have any problems with it. If there's any difference, it's going to be a couple inches in signage, and that's it.
Okay.
Okay, would you repeat option 1 and option 2, please?
So option 1 is approximately 5 feet off of the right of way and is right here. Of the right of way of State Route 8, and option 2 is approximately 65 feet off of State Route 8. Okay. And more in line with the setbacks that were to the buildings.
Personally, myself, I think the set lines with the buildings looks a lot nicer than it's sticking out like a sore thumb.
I agree. So, do we have a motion from anybody?
Dick Iafrida, I make a motion, we accept option 2.
So just to be clear, the requested variance is just to be located within the right of way, just so there's no confusion.
Right.
Does the city want an unofficial opinion from each of the board members on position separate from the variance?
You do not have to provide that. That's totally up to the board members.
So, Mr. Iafrida, would you want to state your motion again? Are you interested in us giving an opinion on the location, or saying that we're going to approve it with this location?
I think I want to make a motion that we approve it with this location.
Understood. So the motion is to approve case number 639 with the proposed position number 2 that was provided at today's meeting. Is there a second for this motion? Well,
And Mr. Chairman, you, not to be a procedural stickler, but you had already made a motion to table until the next meeting, which is technically the motion that's in order to consider.
oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. So I need a second on either one, or actually the first one to table till next meeting. Is there a second to table motion, a second for the motion to table till the next meeting?
I'll second it.
So for the motion is to table to the next meeting, case number 639, which is the variance for the right of way. Will the secretary please call roll call vote?
Mr. Shalko,
Yes.
Ms. Metzel,
Yes,
Mr. Pilato,
Yes.
Mr. Iofreda,
Abstain.
and Mr. Ferraro.
Yes.
Well, thank you. So that motion to table, so we've tabled two cases. I think that's all the cases. Before the board leaves, I need to know, do we need to vote on a chairman for 2021?
The code and the charter do say it's an annual election. Yes, sir.
Okay, so do we have any nominations for chairman for 2021? Any volunteers? Anybody?
Time to be Trump back in office.
You don't want to do it anymore?
I'll do it again. I just want to make it available if anybody else did. I will put my name in there. If we take it and vote for it, I'll do it again.
I'll do it as chairman. I'll be chairman. I don't have a problem with it.
Mr. Pilato, that's.
Is somebody nominating Mr. Pilato?
Dick Iafrida, I nominate Sam Pilato to be the new chairman in the year 2021.
I'll second
And
that.
then-
It's Kent.
And then, Mr. Chairman, you'll ask for if there are any other nominations.
Is there any other nominations for the chairman of the BZA for 2021? Do we do a roll call vote or a voice vote?
Whatever your preference is, sir.
Okay, I would just say, let's do a voice vote.
who are we voting for, Sam or Kent?
Sam.
Sam, you're out of it, Kent?
I'm giving somebody else an opportunity, but I'll do it again sometime. But Mr. Pilato has volunteered and been nominated, so we're going to do a voice vote for all those voting for Mr. Pilato to be the chairman of the BZA for 2021. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I heard a bark, so it must be good. I believe there's at least 3 there, so
That's my new puppy.
that's good. So for the next meeting, we have a new chairman. Was there any other business we needed to take care of before the end of this meeting?
We need a vice chairman.
Oh, okay. That's true. Is there nominations for vice chairman?
I'll throw my hat in the ring if anyone wants to nominate me.
Mark, I will nominate you, or Matt.
Matt.
Sorry, I'm looking at sorry. So I nominate Matt Ferraro as co-chairman for the BZA for the year 2021. Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. Okay, let's have a voice vote. All those in favor of Matt being the vice chairman? Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we got a chairman and a vice chairman. Thank you guys very much. I hope we've taken care of everything that we needed to tonight. Thank you for your time. It was nice and long, but informative.
One quick thing.
Certainly.
Just for the board members, everybody else, thank you very much. I'd just like to talk to the voice members.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good evening.
Matt, Mark, you could stay there too.
Okay.
I just want to bring up again, on some of these blueprints and plans that we have residents, submitting for variances. As for our first one, there was no footage on there. Nobody knew what was going on. They were going off of the blueprints or the, what the fence company was giving them. Okay. Chris, I think we need to control this a little bit better before it comes to the board.
Sam, there was, everything was on the blueprints. Setback on a corner lot is 40 feet. They gave all the dimensions of the fence. Everything was provided.
Well, we didn't get it. I don't have it here in front of me.
It was on your prints.
No, we didn't get it. I didn't get anything like that either.
Well, some of the 40-foot setback is on the code. You have to look at the code for 116302 or 117116 for fences.
Chris, we understand that. Okay, all I'm saying is if you look at the first applicant versus the second applicant, okay, it's a whole different story. It's night and day difference. That's all I'm saying.
And
You
all
know,
the was there. If you ask, give me a call and let me know that you want that. I mean,
Okay.
it's already there, but if you want it written on the prints, I can get it for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll keep working at it.
Yep, that's good. We're doing good.
And Mr. New Chairman, congratulations.
Thank you. And Mr. Vice Chairman, congratulations.
Thanks, you too.
Mark, I appreciate you being on tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much.
How much more information do you think we're going to need on this Golden Link project?
That's purely up to you guys. Now, I will say I spoke with the mayor about it. He's available if anybody has any questions. I'm certainly available. We'll make Mr. Parker available. So I would definitely encourage the board members, if you do have questions after you go home and think about it, feel free to call any one of us. We're obviously more than willing to provide any information you need.
Okay. And if you come up with anything or they do after they talk to the business owners, I would suggest you get back to us as soon as you can. This way we can make a decision on next meeting if there's any, so there's no problems and no delays either.
Sure, appreciate that.
All right?
So for my last function as chairman, this ending period, I have asking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Bye.